Hello, I watched the film Downsizing, so now I'm going to tell you what I thought. Here's your warning, there are spoilers ahead.
Downsizing is about saving yourself. We live like kings. Got best houses, best restaurants, Cheesecake Factory. Got 3 of them.
Now, I watched this because Netflix pushed it to my homepage and I'd heard that people didn't really like it, so I wanted to see for myself. I was certainly intrigued by the concept. It's described as a satire, a comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, and a drama. In the film, people are undergoing shrinking to make them very small, an irreversible procedure that has come about as a way to combat climate change and avoid ecological disaster by reducing the amount of resources you need to survive, and they go and live in an area known as Leisureland, which is designed for people 5 inches tall. Now, we kind of get off to a bad start. The first 10 minutes or so are an exposition dump. At times it's literally 2 guys on stage in like a lecture theatre giving a presentation about downsizing, what it is and why it came to be. I didn't love this as a world-building technique. For me, it was a bit too lazy and dull. I like a bit more show don't tell. I prefer to see more creative storytelling. And I wasn't thrilled about the script throughout, really. Didn't feel very nuanced for the most part. It wasn't very sophisticated, but there were some good moments in there. One that really stands out to me is when 2 of our main characters are talking to a salesperson about shrinking, and she's really trying to sell it to them, really gushing about it. Then Audrey, who I'll talk more about shortly, asks if shrinking is so great, then why haven't you done it? Ooh, great point, Audrey. What is the company hiding? Is there a sinister thread here that we're going to follow? No, not really. 2 of our main characters are husband and wife Paul and Audrey, played by Matt Damon and Kristen Wiig. They start to discuss shrinking. They hear about other people who have had it done. It turns out there are huge financial benefits to doing it, and eventually they go to begin the procedure. And some of these conversations they have with their friends and acquaintances are pretty funny. People talk about shrinking like it's a lifestyle and then like it's a protected characteristic that the big people just don't understand. I feel like everyone is giving a pretty good performance. The cast is brilliant. There's so many familiar faces in this thing. Matt Damon in particular is very strong and his delivery is good too. There's a moment where he sees an old friend of his or a colleague and they have shrunk, and his reaction to seeing them is quite funny and endearing.
That's Dave Johnson.
Hey, everybody.
And Carol. He never struck me as the kind of guy who'd go get small.
The way people pitch shrinking or downsizing is very cult-like. They have these big, elaborate presentations. They're really flashy, really loud, and there are some moments where you can really feel the satirical elements of it. As Paul and Audrey get closer to having the procedure done, the gross, predatory, capitalist reality of the whole thing does become more overt. We get some more culty vibes from it, but then this thread doesn't really go anywhere or pay off, I don't think. The sequence that shows what has to happen to people for them to go through the shrinking process is pretty good. They have to get knocked out, all hair is removed from the body, they have to have fillings removed, things like that. And this montage style moment is shot really nicely, and it's interesting to see all the attention to detail here. So Paul gets shrunk and he's waiting for Audrey, but she gets spooked and backs out at the last minute. So Paul goes on to live in Leisureland on his own. They end up getting divorced and he loses a lot of wealth because of this. So he ends up actually having to get a job in a call centre, and he lives in a small flat in Leisureland, whereas the plan was that he'd get to live in a giant mansion with his wife and live a life of peace and luxury. And we plod through the film for a bit down in Leisureland and not a whole lot happens. Eventually Paul becomes close with a woman who also lives in Leisureland, but plot twist, she actually lives just outside the parameters of the nice luxurious area and lives in the hidden slums, previously unknown to Paul. It's not too great for the people who live there. There's no healthcare, no easy access to food, there's not even a doctor. So Paul kind of becomes the doctor because he has some knowledge about basic health issues and ailments, because he was an occupational therapist in the outside big world. And you get some nice character development from him here. He seems to feel joy in serving others and helping people who need it. So, that's nice. Then our characters head off to Norway, to the original colony where downsizing first happened. Then it turns out the people there have built an underground vault that they're going to lock themselves in for 8,000 years because they're convinced climate change is going to get really bad. Paul looks like he might go into the vault with them, but he changes his mind at the last minute and travels back to Leisureland with his friends. He gives some chicken to an old man, and that's it. The film ends, really abruptly. So, it's not bad, but I'm not convinced that the vision for it was really clear. It feels like the filmmakers came up with the concept of shrinking, of downsizing, and were so certain that they wanted to make a film about it, but just didn't really know how to dedicate a full film to it. Some of the satirical elements of it are funny, and there are entertaining moments for sure, but it feels like all the messages, all the topics that the film was trying to get across are half explored, like every storyline is only half finished. It's quite difficult to describe. I am really curious to know if I've missed the point, maybe I'm just not getting it. If you really loved Downsizing, please let me know and tell me why. Open my eyes to what I'm not seeing. Anyway, at the time of recording, it gets 5.8 on IMDb. Then over on Rotten Tomatoes, it gets 47% from the critics and 25% from the audience. Ouch. It's certainly not a badly made film from a technical point of view. There are some well put together sequences, good performances. The concept is certainly interesting, but it feels like in the end it really didn't go anywhere. I came away from it not really feeling anything. I don't think I would recommend for you to watch it as entertainment, but if you're interested in watching films that you think you may not like or get much out of but could be interesting to study and analyse, then yeah, go for it. It's on Netflix right now, in the UK at least. Please let me know what you thought of it if you do. Bye!